want you to be encouraged today as we talk about the book of Mark chapter 4 with the disciples and Jesus being in a boat. Mark chapter 4, if you have a Bible, turn there to verse 35. In the ship, they are in a storm, and the ship is full. Christ is asleep. They say, "Don't you care that we perish?" Jesus calms the storm, and they're afraid again. Two fears. First fear is a cowardly, timid fear. Second fear, reverential awe. They really learn something. The third question we want to ask ourselves. Now, the first two questions are, how did I get into this mess? Number two, is there anybody with me in it? Am I alone? And the answer is no, you're not alone. I don't care what you've done. I don't care how you got in it. You're not alone. Number three, why am I in it? Why am I going through this? And the answer is to learn something. The disciples learned something between fear and fear. They learned that as long as Jesus is with them in the boat, as long as Jesus is with you, no storm of your life is going to be able to destroy the plan of God. God says, the plans I have for you, I know are good, not evil, to give you a future and a hope. He has a plan. Friends, he said, let's go to the other side, A to C. But in order to get to C, you have to go through B. You can't skip B. Friends, B is the storm. And God will take you through it. You think C is the big thing. Yeah, the other side, that's the big thing. Actually, it's the storm that you learn the lessons. It's between A and C that you learn B. Hallelujah. Whew. I guess I'm just thinking about this in my own life. I've gone through a lot of things, but not near as much as some other people. But it's that B, it's that letter B, it's that storm between A and C. That's where I gained all of the knowledge of why I'm going through this. Number two, the second reason that they went through this storm is to correct an attitude. You see, we need to have some of our attitudes corrected. And they had an attitude of fear, but then it went from fear to fear. Their attitude was, don't you care? Do you know the Lord will let you go through storms to correct an attitude towards Him? And do you know why it's so important that your attitude towards Christ through a storm is so important? Do you know why it's so important? Do you know why your attitude is of utmost value? Because it's your attitude towards God that establishes the basis of guidance from God. Don't you care that we perish? What kind of an attitude do you have towards the Lord when trials come? You know, some people have an attitude towards God that's really not good. God dealt me a bad hand, as they say. Nothing ever goes right for me. Ever since I got saved, it's been terrible. You know, where's God when it hurts? God's responsible for everything that ever happens to some people. Well, let me tell you, Jesus corrects their attitude, and it's so important. Here's why. Because if my attitude towards Him is good, then He can lead me and guide me in the way that I should go. He will guide me with His eye. Let Him correct your attitude. That's the reason you're going through this. My pastor used to say, God's opportunity is created by man's attitude toward Him.
Thank you for watching A Certain Sound Daily Video Devotional. Be sure to sign up for the iTunes podcast or daily email of A Certain Sound when you visit us online at www.acertainsound.com. A Certain Sound is a ministry of Word of Truth Christian Center in Bowling Green, Ohio. On behalf of Word of Truth Christian Center, I'm Sonetta. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow.